Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second Climate Restoration Implementation Update of 2025. We still haven't found a better name for this periodic update. Still working on that. We have a lot of people that at least registered from a very nice collection of countries where people from Argentina, Bangladesh, Bulgaria, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Ghana, Israel, Kenya, Malawi, Uganda, United Kingdom, and the United States. Let's look at the organizations that are represented here today. We have somebody that retired from 3M, Alfred Wegener Institute, BIBA Transformation LBG, Climate Citizen Lobby, Citizen Lobby Greenhouse Gas Removal Action Team, Davies Sunrise Rotary. We have a few people from Rotary here today. ECO, Interpreters, Environmental Media Association, a few people from the Foundation for Climate Restoration, GESAMP, I don't know what that is, Healthy Planet Action Coalition, Chaos Pilot, Kehosha, Africa Foundation, Startup Africa, Learn with Grandma, Max Innovation, New Hartford Rotary, Numera Lighting. We have somebody from the Ujulu Island Savior Foundation, Quest Science Center, few other people from Rotary, and the Universidad Nacional de Entre Rios, and the University of Toronto. So I have a very nice group of people. We're growing our community, growing our movement. And so now we're going to begin with the update. Climate crisis solved in our lifetime. We're not afraid to say these words because we mean them. We can do it, and we are doing it, and we will do it. Most of you have seen this before, but I'm going to do a quick refresh, especially for those who are here with us for the first time. Bottom line, what we all want is to give our children the same safe climate we were given, and we can do it. We know how to do it, and we are doing it. We're turning the climate crisis into a blip. We expect to see ppm levels starting to drop at the beginning of the next decade, and going back to safe climate by 2050, by the middle of the century. The vision of the Climate Restoration Alliance is humanity flourishing for millennia to come. Our mission is to create the global alignment that ushers in a new era for humanity, paving the way with restoring the climate. And what we are realizing, a lot of people are approaching us with different projects, reforestation, ecosystem restoration, even renewable energy and waste management education. And we believe that climate restoration is the thing that can bring us all together. Each of us doing the important work that we're doing, but creating that goal and aligning ourselves with that goal is crucial for our success and for humanity being able to step into the next era. Our immediate goal for the next 5 years, we're going to build and scale up the climate restoration industry until it operates at full scale, which means removing 60 gigaton a year of CO2 from the atmosphere. So this is our roadmap. The next 2 years, we're going to focus on at least one pilot project, maybe more, to develop and validate the OIF protocols. OIF stands for Ocean Iron Fertilization. I assume all of you already know that. And MRV stands for Monitoring, Reporting, and Verification. So that's the methodology that we're going to use to measure our impact and make sure that there are no negative effects. The following 2 years are going to be about operations, the ability to manage 3, 4, 5 different sites at the same time in different locations around the world, and start preparing and planning for the scale-up. And the last 2 years of the decade are going to be focused on establishing long-term funding and partnerships and building the infrastructure that we need in order to restore the climate successfully for the following 20 years. the first thing we're going to hear about is the California buoy test. I see Alan is not here, so we'll give him a minute to come back because he's the one that needs to give the update. Oh, there he is. So Alan, please, the floor is yours.
So this shows a montage of some of the development activities that we had to prove that our buoys would work. On the left side, there's a column which has salt water in it, which we were using to test the containers that our underwater CO2 sensors would develop. On the top, we see Jagdish Giramandi, who's the person who activated the first buoy, got it linked to the satellite. Down below, we see some of the other activities along the line, and this is really a technology demonstration where we have to make sure all the components work before we understand that the systems are going to work. And then on the right hand side, you see we've now acquired all three SOFAR buoys. We've created a structure which will have our detector. The gray pipe on the top is what holds the atmospheric sensor for carbon dioxide, and the platforms below will hold the underwater sensors. There's also a drogue chute and line underneath that makes sure that the buoys stay in line with the ocean currents and not be influenced by the wind. And on the bottom, you see the research boat that's going to take these things out offshore California. And one of the things that I wanted to emphasize is that our measurements for CO2 capture have to do with the differences between carbon dioxide, either between adjacent buoys or between the surface and the underwater. We have been in the process of validating less expensive CO2 sensors than you can buy that are typically used by marine scientists. But we've been able to show that these things, the difference between the buoy has a standard deviation of about 1.5 parts per million, which is quite adequate for the purposes we need to demonstrate the rate of CO2 capture, again, either by the change in CO2 concentration in the direction of the wind, or the change in the difference in concentration between the air and the underwater. And that's all I was planning to say, Elon.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I want to give a big shout out to the data and engineering team. Alan here is leading the team, and we have Joe. That's incredible how effective and collaborative he is, and also Jagdish and Don that were helping at the early stages. These guys have spent many hours to make this happen, all as volunteers. So thank you very much for this. You made a huge difference. The next steps,
yeah. Joe's picture. He's the one holding the prototype supplemental buoy there, as we were making sure that it goes sinks to the right level and it's self-righting. You know, these are all these details that one has to work out to make sure you have a successful test.
Very good. So the next steps for the buoy test were really getting into the last few weeks. In the next week or two, there's going to be a half-day test in the San Francisco Bay, just to see how the equipment responds to actual ocean waters. And, you know, we're going to spend a few hours, then pick it up. And then towards the end of the month, we're going to do the test. We're not sure if it's going to be a week, a couple of weeks, a couple of days. We'll have to look at the currents at that day to figure out for how long we're going to leave the buoys out there. Before we go to the next slide, I want to share the new website with you. We've just launched our new website yesterday. We have a new logo, a new website. When you go to the homepage, you're probably going to get this message that says we're still fixing things. We're still finding some typos and mistakes. So if you visit the website and you find anything that looks funny, please let us know and we'll fix it. The one thing I want to show you, which is I think is one of the biggest steps we need forward, we made forward, is we are now developing multiple projects for the climate restoration industry. And each project has its own fundraising campaign. So we can see here the ongoing Climate Restoration Implementation Fund, the OIF project development, methane oxidation, which we haven't really started, but we want to get started, the ambassador program, the MRV data analysis. We need some funding for the conference that we're going to have in April, some nature-based bamboo solutions. And this is the buoy test, which is really the first one that we've completed in terms of fundraising. And you can see over here the impressive number of people that have donated. I just sent a message a couple of hours ago. If somebody wants to turn his or her donation anonymous, we can do that. Right now, most of the names show up here. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And I'm going to ask you, as we're discussing these projects, to browse and explore them. My request to you is that you make a donation, even a small one. Our focus right now is on increasing the number of monthly donors. So pick and choose the project that is closest to your heart, and make a recurring donation as low as $10. Anybody can afford $10 a month. And that's how you let us know that you're committed and what project you would like us to focus on. So the link is in the chat, and now we're going to go back to the presentation. The next thing we're going to share with you is the ambassador, the progress we're making in the ambassador program. Judy, please take it away.
Sure. I was trying to think like how long we've been going as ambassadors, like maybe going for sure 2 years and maybe a little longer. So I'm a climate restoration ambassador, and I was invited to be one by my friend Chuck, who was the first ambassador to Rotary. And so we really want to create a global team. We're on our way. We have about 17 ambassadors now from 4 different countries and a cross section of the United States. But we also want to develop ambassadors in our capacity to succeed both in our environmental goals, because many of you and most of the ambassadors, they come in already involved in the climate in some way. And they want to, and that's a part of the alignment, is to take what you're doing and now get us all aligned in really being committed to doing something here. So we want each of our ambassadors to succeed in what they're committed to personally, and then align with all of our global ambassadors for the future of our planet together. Do you want to go to the next slide? Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have 17 ambassadors from 4 countries so far. The US, Israel, Wales, Benin, and a cross section of the US. So we're everywhere from California to the East Coast to Chicago. We had our first inaugural. There's only one inaugural. So we had our inaugural gathering of ambassadors on February 27th, just a week or so ago. And we'll do this monthly now. So we'd encourage anybody who wants to be an ambassador. We go through our steering committee to put your maybe your email address or phone number or some way that you want to be contacted, either directly to me or just in the chat to everyone. So one of the most exciting things is, and Chuck's really responsible for this, getting our plans underway with Rotary clubs. So Chuck is in the Northeast, in upstate New York, but we have Rotary members in Washington, D.C., and Chicago, and the Pacific Northwest, and now in Israel. And our next step with Rotary is to have, in this Northeast district, to have the Rotary district president reach out to 111 clubs as a part of that. But you can see that I forget how many Rotary clubs there are in the world, but There are over 1 million Rotary members, maybe 2 million, I forget the number. And there's a lot of potential there for each person to sign our climate restoration resolution, and to have clubs signed so that we have more organizations signed. And that's, you can probably tell, that's a part of the alignment, like we're all committing to something together. And then our next step also is upgrading our presentations. Really, we have some presentations created, and then materials to offer to our ambassadors as talking points and things that we can leave behind when we're speaking to any group or individual. So I just would really encourage all of you who care about the climate, if you would like to be an ambassador, to let us know. We want to keep expanding our numbers and to be able to expand the number of conversations we're having. So many of you have done a lot of work with Landmark, and you know that a lot of our work is about expanding our network of conversations. So we just want to take it out as far as we can.
Very good. I should not be typing and hosting a webinar at the same time. Very good. So you now have the OIF link in the chat if you want to make a contribution to that campaign. We also have Chuck and Frank from the steering committee. Would you like to say hello or just a few words? Frank, go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Yeah, I've been involved with this climate restoration, with especially through Chuck. Chuck and I both are longtime friends. We support each other in many projects. I'm president of New Hartford Rotary right now. I'm a retired veterinarian, and there are a number of reasons that I'm involved, and I'm going to give them to you right now. Their names are Allison, Anna, Sarah, Philip, Jake, Jack, Lauren, Andrew, Frankie, Joseph, Austin, Grace. And then there's the younger ones, my great-grandchildren, Granger, Elias, Parker, Olivia, Luca, and one that is soon to be born in July. Those are the reasons I'm involved. And thank you for being with us. I hope you'll join us as ambassadors.
Thank you very much, Frank. Chuck, would you like to say a word?
Yes, I just wanted, this is the first time I ever thought I'd be moved to tears by some scientific talk. But as Alan was sharing about the buoy project, it's really exciting. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Chuck. Very good. So the ambassador program, let me just briefly show you what it looks like on the website. Over here, you can see the different components, elements that we're building to create the climate restoration industry. So the first one here is the Climate Restoration Ambassador Program. You can see a short introduction video of the program, read a little bit about it, and then see our growing list of ambassadors. I'll just point out that we have the Ben-Zion Gagula, the Climate Restoration Ambassador to Chabad. Chabad is one of the most active organizations in Judaism. They have 5,000 centers around the world, and we are planning to join with them and offer sustainability and climate restoration in each one of those centers. We have Debbie, for example, the Climate Restoration Ambassador to the entertainment industry, with ability to reach millions through events and social media and so on. We have our newest ambassador is also Leo Apollinaire, a friend that spent some time with us at the Climate Restoration Villa in Sharm el-Sheikh during COP27. And he's the Climate Restoration Ambassador to Benin. So we are growing in geography and in different communities. Judy, can I share that we wanted to get to 20% coverage of the world countries by the end of the year? I guess I already shared that.
Absolutely.
So that is our
and
goal.
actually, at one point, you upped it to 50%.
I know, but I think maybe 20 between 20 and 50% by the end of the year. That'll be amazing. So for each one of these ambassador, you can click on their image, read their bio, get to know them a little bit. There is contact information if you want to reach out, connect, and discuss possibilities to work together. It's also possible. And then there is some information here, white papers, and at the bottom there is a form where people can adopt the climate restoration resolution, either as individuals or organizations. And one of the goals for 2025 is to increase significantly the number of people that are talking about climate restoration and committed to climate restoration. So thank you very much, Judy, Chuck, and Frank for leading this Climate Restoration Ambassador Program. You're doing a phenomenal job. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about EarthX. I didn't see Marcus here. Marcus, are you with us? So I guess he wasn't able to make it. Marcus Cooper is the event organizer, event producer, working to get all the ducks in a row. A lot of moving parts, getting speakers, dates, schedules, doing a great job. If he were here, he would extend an invitation. So I'm inviting you, instead of him, to join us at EarthX April 24. EarthX is a conference of conferences, one of the biggest environmental conference in the US, maybe in the world. And it's a 5-day conference. Our summit, our Climate Restoration Conference, is going to be on April 24th. I believe it's a Thursday. And there is a discount registration code that you can use to get a better price. We're going to have experts like Dr. Victor Smatacek, Peter Fiakovsky, who isn't with us today because as we speak, he's pitching ocean iron fertilization to a group of investors. So hopefully he's going to join us towards the end and let us know how it went. Carl Page and many others. If you're interested in getting more information, if you're interested in the discount code, please write so in the chat or email one of us and we'll make sure that you get it. The next project I want to introduce is our homegrown OIF company. We can't really say a lot about that. The company is still in stealth mode, meaning that we're flying under the radar until we're ready to present the company to the world. We do have Tan Yoon here with us. Tan, if you can just say hi, say a few words. What's your relationship with OIF and maybe what your plan is with Deep Green.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tan Huynh. I am the CEO of Deep Green Solutions, and we are starting this company. We're just in the planning mode right now, and so we're creating we're working through the buoy tests and as well, and putting together the information that we need to go out and do what we need to do for our first project, for the first OIF project out there. So, as you know, OIF is right now is the solution to reduce or mitigate the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Having that, being able to do that at a massive scale, right? Millions of tons per site that we're doing, which then also restored the life in the ocean as well. And that's where I've been working in this area for the last 5 years to have this proliferate, the technology proliferate for us to do our 2030 goal to have 60 gigatons of carbon dioxide captured per year to restore our climate. So I'm very excited about our project. We have some amazing people working together to make this happen. And we are, my goal is to have our first project out this year, by the end of this year. So stay tuned.
Very good. So we're waiting to hear exciting news when it's time to share them. I just want to say that Deep Green, like we said, is our homegrown OIF company. But in climate restoration, we are not just doing something different, we're also doing things differently. And so this is not about competition, this is about collaboration and working together. And so we're coordinating and supporting the entire OIF industry. We don't expect, one person or one company to get the job done. There are about 10 other OIF projects in development in various places and shapes and forms around the world. And we are creating or have created the OIF Consortium, which is a convening place for all OIF companies to come together, share insights and knowledge, even share IP sometimes, because this is not about the success of one company. If one of us wins, we all win. So that's the important thing. And I've known Tan now for several months now, and I am confident that he's going to be able to lead this company and have it successful.
Are you taking questions now, Ilan? Because there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Perfect. Judy, can you help me with that? Maybe
Sure.
if you can read the question. There are a few questions that people sent us when they registered, so I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But yeah, go ahead, Judy.
Okay, so Cynthia says, Tan, where do you think you will be starting?
We're looking at the Pinatubo area around there to replicate that 1997 eruption, and working to have that be our look. We're working to have that happen this year.
And can you tell her where that is in case she doesn't know?
It's in the South Asia seas, around the Philippines.
Okay, great. And the next question is from Laura, and she says, what is the permitting like to try experiments in the ocean?
So that's a very good question. We are working, because there are no governing board about what there is to work around ocean iron fertilization. We are creating and working with the governments, the London Protocol folks to create the protocols, the methodology, and the governing of all of that as well. So stay tuned. We're still working all of those details out. Okay.
I just want to point out that there is on our new website, there's a section called Knowledge with blog posts and frequently asked questions. Some of these questions are specific about OIF, ocean iron fertilization. So if you would like to know more about it, you can visit that link. I just put it in the chat. If you have questions that are not answered there, please let us know. There's a contact form where you can email one of us. and we'll add that question and the answer to the website. Very good. So I just want to remind you again that let me share my screen again. Right, so this is the frequently asked question page. You can see the general questions here, and then some specific OIF questions. There is a specific question about the London Convention, London Protocol that is related to the question we just heard now. So you can read more about that on the website.
Wow.
So I want to remind you again, on the website, we have our different projects that we're starting now. We just launched the website yesterday. That's why all the numbers are close to zero. And we definitely want them to be higher than zero, especially since what we're talking about is probably the most important thing in the world right now. So please take a moment, choose your favorite project, and make a donation. The amount is less important than the fact that you're making a monthly commitment. It's good for you. It helps us know that we have people with us. Of course, it's for future generations. So that's our call to action, right? That's our plan for April, is to reach 1,000 donors that give monthly, every month, at least $10. I can tell you that we now have about 24, so we have a long way to go. But we believe that we're now at the breakthrough point. And so everything is now expanding, more projects, more people, and more money. We're now, obviously, to do the OIF project, we're probably going to need around $10 million. So we don't expect that to come, at least initially, from individuals like us. We are talking to a few billionaires that are passionate about the climate and about giving our children, grandchildren, the same safe climate that we got. But they want to know that they're not alone, right? So they want to match what other people are giving. As a matter of fact, we have somebody that is willing to match up to $25,000 donation. So whatever you put in today is actually going to be double by one of our supporters. So again, take a few minutes, even right now. I'm going to see the donations come in, so I can let people know that they did.
While they're doing that, Milan, and it's possible that I didn't listen very well, but what's the very next thing that will be happening? Like, what's on our plates next?
So it's a good question. The next big thing that's going to happen is EarthX. Well, obviously we have the buoy test at the end of the month. I believe that by mid-April at the latest, we'll have the results and we'll have the reports, and we're going to learn a lot of things and do it better next time. So that's the next big thing. Following that, we have EarthX, which is going to be a very public event. We expect about 100 people to show up in the room, but we're going to leverage the event through social media, press releases, and so on. So that's going to be our coming out during the event. I can tell you that the next few months, we also are going to have some boring work to do, right? As we're growing, we're going to need to create legal structure, organizational structure, hire people, write business plans, and so on. So that's a very important work. We're not going to be able to scale if we don't do it, but it's not as sexy as putting buoys in the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll keep you. Yeah.
What's the potential of the conference? I know that you're waiting for Marcus, but I know the particularly the Climate Restoration Summit as a part of this, because so the EarthX is a 5-day conference, but there's a Climate Restoration Summit on Thursday of the conference, April 24th.
Exactly.
And I know that we're planning on having First Nation leaders there, and politicians and environmental experts. And, the plan is to just bring everyone together in a new way to really create something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, we've been starting to say out loud that the UN climate goal is dead. Okay, so I'm going to say that it's being recorded. I'm going to say that carefully, but the reality is that that goal is 30 years old. The goal was to stabilize greenhouse gases, to avoid the situation that we're in right now. We failed at that. That's the plain truth. We failed at reducing emission fast enough to stabilize the climate, and the climate now needs more than stabilization, it needs restoration. And so what we're planning to achieve in that conference is to change the conversation, is to say, boldly that the old climate goal is not relevant anymore. We need a new climate goal, that is climate restoration. It's really the only goal that makes sense. And there's a little bit of a chicken and an egg situation there, where the funders are looking at the scientists are looking at indigenous people are just looking at everybody, waiting for us to wake up. So that's the goal, is to bring people together, and look at each other and give ourselves permission to follow this very ambitious plan to restore the climate.
It's
And
very
so
exciting,
again,
I think.
yeah,
This opportunity to look forward.
exactly. The more people we have with us, the better chances we have to succeed and accelerate this. I've been hearing, people say by 2050 or sooner, right? So we just being in that hopeful, optimistic conversation, I think, is what needed right now to get to that critical mass of people and funding that we need in order to make that happen. So a few other questions that came in during the registration. What are the risks? This is a question by Laura. What are the risks to iron fertilization? What is required in the way of permitting? Are there pilot or test projects going on to follow or get involved with? So obviously we have Tan here with Deep Green. That's happening. There are about 10 other projects that are taking place. So I think educating yourself, learning about this is the best thing that you can do. In terms of negative side effects, we don't know of any. As a matter of fact, OIF has been done on a massive scale several times before. As a matter of fact, before every ice age, nature removed roughly the same amount of CO2 that we need to remove right now from the atmosphere. And we have capabilities that nature doesn't have. We have engineering, we have schedules, we have understanding. So doing OIF in a specific way, in a specific place, at a specific time, will give us the results that we're looking for. There is actually a very positive side effect to OIF, which is ocean and fishery restoration. Restarting the primary pump, increasing the plankton productivity, brings back the fish, which helps with food security and creates economic development. There's been about 12 or 13 small-scale OIF tests over the last 20 years. The last of them was in Alaska in 2012. These were more scientifically small-scale experiments. And all of them, whether they were conducted in a professional way or not, all of them showed the same result, that this is doable, and we can do it.
There's one more question in the chat, Elon, that may be important. Are you participating in the Ocean Visions Conference in Vancouver British Columbia, March 24th to 27th.
Thank you very much. This is a question for Bob. So the answer is yes. 2 days ago on Tuesday, it has been decided that Peter is going to go and attend that conference. If you have any insights or advice or connections that you can share, yeah, please do. There's another question here from also from Bob that wrote it during the registration. I'm leading a small team to develop a fundraising strategy for F4CR beginning with 2025. F4CR is the Foundation for Climate Restoration. How can we assure good coordination between CRA and F4CR to avoid duplicate effort and getting in each other's way? That's a great question. And we're working towards creating that alignment and creating that collaboration. I am in communication with Mark Batchelder, one of the leaders of the foundation. I don't see him here, but he was with us in the previous webinar on January 30. So we're in communication and we're welcoming ideas, suggestions, how to improve this relationship. Let's see, we have another question here. I can't attend, but we'll watch the recording. What is the role for climate adaptation, since there are already impacts of climate change that we need to adapt to? So obviously, that's a great question. Climate restoration is not the only thing we need to do. We all know that. There are three main strategies for climate addressing the climate crisis: adaptation, mitigation, and restoration. So of course, there are already changes that have happened and will continue to happen. So we have to continue with adaptation. We have to continue with decarbonizing the economy, reducing emission, and getting to net zero as soon as possible. And we also have to remove the legacy CO2 from the atmosphere. The nice thing is that once we start with climate restoration, the goal of net zero becomes much, much, much more doable. As a matter of fact, we expect to reach net zero in the early years of the next decade. So once climate restoration operates at full scale, we'll be removing more CO2 from the atmosphere than we emit to it. And we're going to see the needle starting to move in the opposite direction, in the good direction. And I'm sure that's going to make a lot of people very, very happy. So I see two people have made contributions already. Thank you very much for that.
I don't know if you saw that Cynthia doesn't do anything virtually, so she mailed a check to Peter Fikowski.
Oh, perfect. So three people. So I don't know who CLT is, but he's one of the donors. And then we also have Barbara. Thank you very much, Barbara. Again, the amount is less important, could be $10 a month to your favorite climate restoration project. Part of what we want to do is to gamify this. You know, there's a lot of climate anxiety and a lot of fear and uncertainty. I can tell you that, you know, most of the time, even though we're working hard, many hours, we're having fun doing what we're doing, restoring the climate, working with people that we appreciate and love. Let's see, that's not a question. Dear Peter and colleagues, please keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Douglas. I think that's it with the question from the registration. I think
there's a few people who have just come in quite late. So I know that you haven't seen the whole presentation, but we were just taking questions if there's anything that you know that you want to ask, and otherwise, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, we can now open it up to questions directly. So James, thank you for demonstrating how to ask questions. You raise your virtual hand, and then I will call on you. James, go ahead. And if you can open the video, oh, perfect.
Yes, hi, James Jones, a retired corporate scientist, 3M. I'm very interested in this topic and have been tracking what the National Academies recommended. And I'd like to hear a lot more detail about the upcoming experiments. that are planned in ocean eddies where the natural recirculation contains the iron, so you can do experiments, as well as Woods Hole tracking the falling marine snow, because if it doesn't settle to the bottom of the ocean, you haven't sequestered anything.
So if you have a specific question, we'll be able to answer it here. If you want a lot more information, we can arrange for a separate call or send you information. Do you have a specific question right now?
So let me answer part of his question.
Please.
The issue in part is the benefit of the downwelling, in that essentially gives an advective flow to take the detritus and from the plankton and et cetera down to the deeper depths. If you're essentially waiting on sedimentation in the open ocean, that's a much slower process. There's a lot more that we could discuss, but I would certainly be happy to talk to you in detail.
So I guess I missed the first point you made. Is there a way to promote the marine snow sinking other than natural, just gravitational forces?
So yeah, the ocean has circulation patterns. There's downwelling areas and upwelling areas, and if you fertilize the downwelling areas, you actually have an advective flow to assist with the sedimentation process.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, James, that's what makes the Pinatubo eruption unique compared to other volcanoes. Every volcano eruption seeds the ocean with mineral dust. But what we've seen after the Pinatubo eruption, the 20 gigaton removal that flatlined the killing curve for the following year, we've seen this only with Pinatubo eruption. And so the working theory is that the reason for that is that there was a downwelling eddy at that area. And what we're planning to do with our project is to replicate that phenomena and prove the theory.
So are there enough of these downwelling eddies throughout the ocean that we could do this on a large scale?
Yeah, this is a common phenomena. I can't remember the website off the top of my head, but there's a website that shows you the current currents of the ocean. And then you can kind of zoom in, zoom out, and you can see the eddies and figure out if it's downwelling or upwelling based on their rotation and whether they're in the northern or southern hemisphere. So yes, there is enough, and we're talking about working at full scale. We're talking about dozens of locations working year-round, fertilizing the ocean.
Wonderful. So Ken Buesler of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute has this Twilight Zone Explorer. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's going to be able to track the marine snow and understand, how fast it sinks, and does some of it come back to the top and, of course, decompose and put CO2 back into the atmosphere. So just want to make people aware of Ken's work.
Yeah. We're very familiar with Ken. And this is a very delicate balancing act, between some people that say, let's just go to the ocean and dump some iron. And then some other people say, we need to research this for 10 years before we do anything. And so we need to find the good place in between to do it quickly and safely and responsibly, because there's a lot of people that depend on that.
The thing is, the research has been for decades, right? It's been around since the 70s. In the last century. So James, you asked a really great question. There's kind of a two-part piece to that, right? Because we're with the climate, the way the atmosphere is working, the ocean life itself, the ecosystem is there's less of that. I mean, much reduced, right? So when we can restore the the meat of the or the food web, the bottom of the food chain, to that, you're capturing the carbon in life itself, as well as the ones that are that tends to the phytoplankton that dies off and go down to the and be settled in the sediment as well. So there's we're doing both of that. The recovery of carbon, we haven't seen a significant amount of like being back to the surface and having that particular piece of it. Most of it is captured either in the life of the ocean or they are going down to the bottom as sediment.
Sure. But you understand, anything that's living in the ocean eventually dies, right? So, yes, you can improve that for a while, but that's not 1,000-year sequestration, right?
Let me add something. During my career, I've modeled a lot of complex systems, basically chemical reaction engineering, and this is basically an example of this, where you essentially have to keep track of the various fluxes and do your material balances and all that sort of stuff. So
Right.
I understand what you're talking about. We have the knowledge of what people have done in the past. We know how to construct models. We know how to address the question that you're addressing. But I think what Don was saying was that if you look on a large scale, which humans have not done, but volcanoes have, if you look at the displacement in the Pinatubo, the Keeling curve from Mount Pinatubo, there's no evidence that the CO2 that was taken out has come back in a matter of 2 or 3 decades. Now, to say that it's going to be stored for 1,000 years is a much more difficult thing to prove.
Yeah.
But in some sense, make an analogy with the COVID is that a lot of the issues were when the epidemic hit, the hospitals couldn't even take all the patients. They were dying in the hallways. And so mitigating the spike, even if it's not 1,000 year, even if it's 25 years, actually makes a big difference.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your responses. I'll lower my hand and let somebody else ask some questions.
Very good. So I just want to point out, thank Roger for making a donation. CLT is Chuck. I didn't know that. So Chuck, thank you very much for that. And we also want to acknowledge Carol. Thank you very much, Carol. So before we go to Barbara, I just want to ask a question that we'll come back to in a few minutes. If our goal is to reach 100 people that make a monthly donation, and again, the amount doesn't matter, what ideas do you have that can help us accomplish that? So think about that for a few minutes, and now we'll hear from Barbara. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thanks a lot, Ilan. This may be just getting into too many weeds, and so I would appreciate maybe setting up one of these that's really about all kinds of technical stuff. But I'm curious. I've been reading, trying to figure out what other types of solutions have been proposed and who's looking at what. And I looked at a website with about 60 projects in the whole area of marine carbon dioxide removal. And of course, nothing on ocean iron fertilization shows up there, which was kind of sad. But probably because what Tan said, some of the ones that were done were old and haven't been put into this website. But a bunch of things are in there about creating downward welling eddies. And I am just very curious if any of you know why, if there are existing natural ones, it makes any kind of sense, but maybe it does, I'm just asking, to try to make artificial ones. Is that something anybody on this call knows about? And then my second question is, do you have any idea yet how long, once you get past the buoy test and figure out if the measurement system works, and then start planning the first deployment of a small a field experiment to see how, what gets put into the downward eddy in the Philippines, how long you would need how long would it take for that experiment to be run before you expect to see some results? So that's two different questions.
Perfect. So I just want to make sure I understand the first question. Were you asking about artificial downwelling eddies?
Yeah, and I don't know why, but there's a whole bunch of folks working on that, and
Yeah,
also
so-
working on upward welling ones, but artificial. And I wondered if we, as a group, have anybody who understands what that's about, so we can
Yeah, I
maybe
can
counter the idea.
I can talk about that. So we're not our group, right? For the
I know it's not this group.
We're
I'm
not-
just trying
we're
to
not
figure
doing
out what the heck
Yes.
that's about, so I can talk about it, why
Very
it's
good.
different
So
from what this is.
the idea of artificial downwelling is to do the same thing that the natural downwelling eddy does, which is sink the biomass to the ocean. There are a few solutions that we know of from using the energy of the waves to pump the water up or down. There's actually an Israeli startup called GigaBlue that is developing a certain, I can't remember the name, but it's a certain very small material that the phytoplankton grows on that thing, and then it becomes heavy and sinks. Now, the scale that they're working on is not going to be sufficient, but the accuracy that they provide makes it possible for them to sell carbon credits. Because with carbon credits, you got to measure the actual impact.
Yes.
So that's a very important distinction to make between carbon removal for the sake of generating and selling carbon credits, which is a financial model, and carbon removal that is focused on the goal of climate restoration, where whether or not we sell carbon credits or climate credits or whatever that is secondary, right? The goal is different, and so everything else around it is different as well. The upwelling eddy is done for a different reason. In many places, the upper levels of the ocean are depleted from nutrients.
Yes.
And so our ocean fertilization is one way to create that, provide that missing nutrients, but another way is to get nutrients from the deep ocean back to the surface.
Got it.
And so this is used, for example, one of our colleagues, Brian Van Hertzen from the Climate Foundation, is developing a climate restoration solution, which is called permaculture, growing seaweed in large-scale facilities in the open ocean, in the same way that trees, sequester carbon, seaweed. So this is about macro algae. Obviously, the approach is very, very different, because then you have to harvest it and process it, and so it's a valid business model. And he's doing great work developing that technology. And for that, they need upwelling. They actually started with upwelling, and they changed their technology to have a platform that goes down. The seaweed is growing on a platform in the middle of the ocean, and the platform goes down 200-300 meters at night to get the nutrients, and then goes up to the surface during the day to get the sun. So that replaces the artificial upwelling that they were using initially.
Thank you. And then the time frame of how long a first
Yes.
pilot of ocean ion fertilization would have to be going in order to get some valid measurement?
Late this year, probably early next year. Tan, are you nodding? Tan is nodding, yes.
I would agree with
And
that.
then, but for how long? Like, is it
So
2 months, 6 months, a year?
The experiment itself shouldn't take more than a few weeks. right? If we just want to put iron in the water, we're going to see the results within a few days, and the water is going to become green. So that's, for somebody that understands ocean, they understand there's a lot of photosynthesis and CO2 removal happening. And then within a few weeks, we could measure increase in the size of fish. And so when fish has more to eat and they grow bigger, they lay more eggs. And so we're going to have more fish in the following season, depending on how long it takes the fish to hatch.
Thank you.
Very good. Valerie, good to see you. How are you?
Ilan, just before Valerie starts, what was Brian's last name doing the ocean permaculture?
Brian Van Herzen, Herzon, I think, or En.
Okay, thank you.
And Elon, one thing I want to just put in, right, is that we're not doing experiments. This is a pilot project that we're going to be creating, and as our proof of concept. And so the science has already been done. What we want to do is make sure that we do the scaling and to do it safely and effectively. Okay.
Very good. Very good. So after Valerie, I would like to hear from you ideas how we can get to 1,000 people that express their commitment to climate restoration by contributing $10 or more every month. Valerie, go ahead.
Yes, I was very interested about the permaculture in the ocean, and it's one of the things I'm working on very much on land. I think one of the things that's worrying me about what you're doing is that people are talking decades, and we don't have decades. Tuvalu is likely to have vanished off the face under the ocean before this generation is completed. I was standing in the Bay of Alexandria, where the new Library of Alexandria was right behind me, and realized that the old library was out there in the bay, under the sea. It is a continuous process that the sea levels are rising. I live in a little tiny country. The UK is small, but Wales is even smaller, and we're losing land now. We are losing land now all the time. People talk about 12,000 years ago when this ice age caused the sea levels to rise, and we became an island, and the Baltic Lake became part of the ocean. Do you see what I mean? We have to be a little faster with what we're trying to do.
Thank you, Valerie, for pointing this out. Chuck, I hope it's okay that I'm inviting everybody to your 107th birthday in 2050. So you're absolutely right, and it's frustrating that we've known about this for 30, 40 years, and we haven't done enough. And we're changing it right now. And the way to change it, to move faster, is to go to the website and express your commitment. We're going to hear how we can get more people involved, but to have the conversation, maybe step up and become a climate restoration ambassador. Maybe share this with 5 people that you know, invite them to the next webinar. Get a group of 20 people and we'll have a Zoom webinar to your friends and colleagues. So definitely we need to accelerate. I completely agree with you. And going back to the question of adaptation, there are certain changes that unfortunately we can't roll back. And we
can only go forward. And I'm having a little project for Easter, which is very soon, and that is to help save the planet by planting a tree for peace and resurrection.
Excellent. We need peace and resurrection, especially here in the Middle East. Valerie, if you want to put some information about this in the chat, if people are interested.
I don't think I've got time now, but
Okay.
I will send it to Chuck, and I'm sure he can send it more easily around the whole group. I'm sure you've got a mailing list.
Yes, absolutely.
In
Welcome,
fact, I
Peter.
wanted to talk to Chuck about the wording because I'm sure he's got some good wording too. But that's the
Very good.
basis of it.
Thank you,
And
Valerie.
incidentally, I had when I was had my 80th birthday 3 years ago, I had a whinge that I couldn't have a party, and a young man in Malawi, a very poor country, said, "I'll plant a tree for your birthday, Granny." I posted that around the world, and over 1 million trees were planted. From Peru to Finland, where there is no loan with Grandma Group, from Canada to Australia, people planted a tree for Granny. I became a speaker at COP26 just because of that, and I'm a nobody.
No, you're definitely somebody. Thank you very much,
Oh yeah, I'm here all
Valerie.
right. Anyway, I must go too. But I will discuss with Chuck about how we make a very nice presentation about plant a tree for resurrection.
Very good. Thank you very much, Valerie. I want to say hi to Peter. He's
I'll
so
say
Peter,
hi to everybody. I don't know if they can see me. All I can see is you.
very good. So Peter, we'll give you another minute to finish breakfast over there. So James, I assume that you have the solution to the answer to the question, how we're going to get 1,000 people to contribute monthly by the end of April.
I can't do that, so I'm going to say goodbye now. Bye-bye.
Bye, Valerie. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, well, my question was, what about funding from nations, on the millions of dollars scale? Are we really needing to go alone with volunteers and philanthropy? There must be some funding from various organizations as well. Can you give me an update on that?
Absolutely, yes. So, we know we're going to need millions, probably billions of dollars to get the job done. The figure that we're using right now is $1 billion a year for 20 years, which is a lot of money for people like us, but it's not, it's not a lot of money in the kind of big scheme of things, especially when we're talking about something that is impacting, 8 billion people and I don't know how many species of animals and plants. So the answer is, of course, we're going to invite those people, countries, corporations, family offices to participate. What we're doing right now is we're establishing ourselves as a leader in that space, and we are a leader in that space, but the space, didn't exist a few years ago. So the buoy test, the OIF project that we want to do, developing the MRV measurement equipment and so on. It's not just moving us forward towards our goal, but it also brings us together and creates a powerful team that can get stuff done and execute and implement things. And I think that at the end of the day, we have a great story. And now we're also showing that we can implement it. We can get stuff done. We're being responsible. We're being transparent. We're being inclusive. And we're not waiting for anybody. And so the short answer is yes, we need that money as well. But I want you to imagine, I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday. And we came up with $1 a day to restore the climate. Right, $1 a day is what, $365 a year. How many people we need to give us $1 a day so that we can get to $1 billion a year? It's not that many people considering what we're up against. And so with the right infrastructure, the right people, the right marketing and communication campaign, we may be able to do it on our own, without any governments. And if governments want to help, they're welcome too, but you remember governments are accountable to the voters and taxpayers, not necessarily to children of today that will be voters in 10, 20 years. Very good. Any suggestions how to increase our outreach? James?
Yeah, on Ocean Vision's website, do you have a presence there?
No, not yet.
Because that's a website I think a lot of people are familiar with. And how about on Woods Hole's website?
Not yet. No, but like we said, Peter is going to be in Vancouver at the Ocean Visions conference to deepen the relationship. We're in good communication with them already.
Okay. And the Scripps Institute's another one that people are aware of. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good.
Very, very good. Thank you very much, James. We're happy to have you involved. Roger, do you have a question or an answer? You're still on mute. Let's see if that helps. No, we
If
can't.
he's not available, I just quickly pop back again because I remembered another thing which stresses the urgency of it. A friend of mine who lives on the coast, very beautiful place called Burry Port in Wales, her house is now 15 yards from the sea. 15 yards. I have another friend on the east coast of England, and her house is now in the sea. It has fallen off the cliff. The cliff is eroded.
The urgency is clear.
It is happening faster than
It is
people
happening.
realize.
And I invite everybody, I know, Valerie, you have to go, but I invite everybody to go to the website and express your commitment. That's what we need right now. Roger, are you with us?
Yeah. Can you hear? I finally figured out why it wanted to mute me, but anyway. So what I was going to suggest is, as I told Chuck, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I'm a good grunt. So what you need to do is the two pipelines I would hit is boomer hippies, because basically we grew up with environmental. And so if you can hit the boomer hippies, the other thing is getting some celebrity endorsements, whether it's like a Neil Young or a Willie Nelson or a Jane Fonda or, whoever, who'll do it for free and just put their face on it. Of course, then you get their followers and everything too. If you get somebody like a Neil Young or something, then you get a concert tour and, if he's doing farmland or something, he can give you a plug and maybe you do a sponsorship, that sort of thing. As far as Woods Hole, if you want, my sister-in-law worked at Woods Holes for decades, so she probably is in there. So just a footnote, but that's my 2 cents.
Very good. Thank you very much, Roger. When you said you're a grant, are you a grant that has specific capabilities that can help us?
Well, I don't know. It really depends. Like I said, when you said Woods Hole, yeah, that's something I can help you with because I have it in there. As far as I'm technical, so it really depends on what that kind of realm, maybe depending on what you need. But as far as I'm good at lift, move, and speak and distribute.
Very good.
Whether it's electronically or whatever, I can help where I can, but I'm not going to find the next answer to all this. So,
very good. Thank you, Roger. So I think I imagine about half the people are currently contributing monthly to the Grandparents Fund, to the Climate Restoration Alliance. And of course, we want everybody. So please go to the website. You have the links in the chat. Choose your favorite project, and even $10 a month at this point. We just want more and more people to join. What about Peter? Peter, are you ready to say a few words?
Sure. I haven't been listening to the previous conversation, so tell me what would be useful here.
Well, we told everybody that you weren't here because you were pitching investors. So how did that go?
The pitch went well. I won't know until I get an email of which ones want to talk with us. So that's all I can tell you at the moment. I did get one person coming in. He's actually the guy who moderates the email list, the carbon removal email list, which has lots and lots of users, and he was astounded at what we're doing. He'd actually written a paper partly about it, and so we'll be talking and hopefully getting leveraging that to get a more scientific paper than the white paper that we've got now.
Very good.
So, yeah.
Somebody asked. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Somebody asked about the Ocean Vision conference in Vancouver. Anything you want to say about that?
I'll be attending it, and their formal interest is in the research. It takes a certain amount of guts, cojones, as we say, to actually say, well, we're just going to make sure it happens. It's much easier to say, well, we'll write some papers about it. So they're still at the we'll write some papers about it level, but their heart is clearly in favor of actually making sure it happens. I'm hoping to inspire a few leaders there to step over the edge and go to making it happen beyond just talking about it.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much, Peter. So we just have a few minutes left. Can I ask everybody to invite 5 people to look at the new website and make a monthly commitment as low as $10 a month? We just need more people right now. That's what we are looking for. So if you're willing to share the website, invite 5 of your friends to learn about climate restoration and give monthly, please indicate so in the chat.
You want to put the website address in the chat again?
Yes, I will. Hold on.
Great.
And again, the website just went live yesterday. So things may not be 100% yet. If you see anything that's broken or misspelled or something that looks funny, let us know. We'll fix it. Any last words?
Patty says she's inviting 10 people. It would be great if you put in the chat like Patty did.
Oh,
how many people are you going to invite?
Perfect. Thank you, Patty. Okay, so we're just going to take the last few minutes. I would like everybody to open their microphones and randomly say a few words about climate restoration. Think about in 10, 20 years from now, our grandchildren are going to watch this video. What do you want to tell them?
Great-grandchildren for me. That would
Very
be
good.
And hi, Peter. It's wonderful to see you. And we know each other from years of lobbying members of Congress on different issues. And so next week we'll be having a local meeting in St. Louis for Citizens Climate Lobby, and I'll share about this there.
And my favorite T-shirt is the one that says "Zero Warming."
Yeah, I remember giving one of those to Michael Mann. Peter, remember that?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I've got it in I'll bring it out for everyone. It's wonderful.
Chuck said he will invite 13 people. Chuck, great work. Carol said, I will reach out to everyone I know from the Climate Reality, the group formed by Al Gore. Very, very good. Anybody else wants to say a few words to our grandchildren?
There's the T-shirt. Say
Yeah,
something.
that's right. I think this was from 2013 or something. So that's how long we've been doing this.
Yeah, mine's getting worn out. Do you have any more in stock?
I don't know. I'll have to check.
Peter just hung his up.
That's right.
I've got something, Ilan, here. A wonderful quote from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, It's the only thing that ever has.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites, Kirk.
It's we are this quote in action. Very good. Should we get a t-shirt for the Climate Restoration Alliance? What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. So, last chance before we wrap.
Well, we've been looking for alignment, and I'll tell you, I can feel it. I just can feel it happen. Congratulations, and thank you, Elon, for all your hard work, and Peter and Judy and Chuck.
Thank you. We have such a great team. It's a pleasure to be doing this work with you guys. Oh, Cynthia, please go
Well,
ahead.
just one thing real quick. I just heard the other day, Peter, that you've been trying to work on Al Gore to come in on this climate restoration. Is he going to be at any of those conferences that you're going to be at? And can we just bombard him with letters, or is there something we can do to help you convince him?
Ah,
I don't know. Kirk, you got the biggest smile. What's your answer?
I got a smile, but that's not an answer.
Okay. Yeah,
Well-
Cynthia, keep asking. I don't
Well,
have
and then
an
the other thing is, do you think it'd be a good idea to bring back oh my God, what was a thing? Inconvenient Truths. I mean, because he reported all of this 30 years ago, and now it's happening, and I think people need to be reminded. Anyway, just one of my thoughts.
It's
I
interesting.
think we need the sequel, right? Because it's not just about
Sequel.
what's inconvenient. It's also about what we can do about it.
Yeah.
Herb has his hand up before we end.
Yes, Herb, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say I was at the COP29 in Baku and found a way to speak directly to Al Gore. He was no more than 24 or 30 inches away from me. And I asked him whether he would be open to CDR and or direct climate cooling in some way. And he gave me his classic Al Gore scowl, unfortunately, and basically started yelling at me about moral hazard and oil companies. And so anyway, that certainly doesn't mean you shouldn't try with him in maybe a more favorable setting. But I needed 2 stiff drinks after that to calm down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
I had a similar conversation with him probably 8 years ago at a COP, but it takes time. A small group of people, his heart's in the right place, and when there are enough people saying we actually want to restore the climate, nature has done it, we're going to do what nature did, he'll come.
Peter,
Yeah, and CCL. I mean, they also were the ones that were
Yeah.
quoting moral hazard, and they've come around. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's because of Peter and us that CCL has come around,
There you go. You did it once, you can do it again, or we can do it again.
And I'm
We can
thinking
do it
for
again.
Earth Day too. Actions at Earth Day engage a lot of people to write letters. So we could do that in the next letter.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Carol,
so
that's
much.
really important. That's really
Thank-
important.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. Please stay with us. Bring your friends. Make a commitment on the website. And we'll see each other in the next webinar. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much.